What up, YouTube Elleix? Come back at you with another Custom Scion Races cast. Spawning on the bottom left-hand side of the map, it's our red Genetron player Cognite going up against his opponent. Spawning on the top right-hand side of the map, it's our yellow Xayid player Quoror. Now, if these races do not look familiar to you, that is because we are casting a modded StarCraft 2 game. The Custom Scion Races mod adds 3 new playable races to the StarCraft universe. It's a super sick mod, and if you're interested in seeing more of it, go ahead and join their Discord, which will be in the description below, and consider subscribing to my channel because my heart would appreciate it. Now, back to the show. We do have the processor on the way. We have the blitzers as well. These are the blitzers, but the processor is one of my favorite units for the Genetron. It's like an uncloaked high-speed observer, and it also recharges the Genetron units. And what is this that we see? These are moving so fast. These are the roamers, but man, for a sec, I thought I was at 2x speed. They are definitely moving faster. I haven't read the patch notes yet for the Custom Scion Races mod, but there was evidently a speed buff. And this green ability right here, that's the Scour ability. So this will give map vision to the Xayid for as long as this circle is active. But using the Scour ability also gives away the fact that there are roamers somewhere on the field. As we can see, Cognite is reacting to this, but this is giving Quoror some really good scouting information. At the same time, though, we have the processor chilling over the main base, so Cognite is also getting some ridiculously good scouting information. These roamers are running back home. As I recall, they are ground to ground only. They do not shoot up, so this processor will be safe. We have a few more feeding pools as well. The feeding pools are really interesting as well. So these are basically the supply depot for the Xayid, but not only that, they can heal up to 3 units at a time. We also have the eroders. Now, I think the eroder is like an anti-armor unit. I think it was once compared to the Immortal, if I'm not mistaken, but here we go. We've got an engagement. These blitzers realizing they are way outnumbered and running away immediately. I think 1 or 2 go down. And we have what is also going to be a third base coming down as well for Cognite. This is the processing core, the command center equivalent for the Genetron. And we see that Quoror is taking a third base for himself. So both of these players are now officially, in my opinion, going for the macro playstyle, and I'm really excited to see what these guys have in store. I really should read the patch notes. What I'll do is read the patch notes probably tonight, and maybe even make a video going over what changes there are for this mod, because evidently, man, this roamer is moving so fast, and now I'm just curious what else may have changed. I know the Chiron, which are like the Protoss equivalent for the Custom Scion Races mod, have a new animation for their warpins, which is really cool. Now, taking a look at what we got here, we have so many blitzers, man. It looks like Cognite is going for the mono battle style. Yeah, it's just blitzers. It's just blitzers on the production tab, so he's going for the full blitzer play, which isn't a bad choice. The blitzer is a really good unit. It's like, I want to say, I don't know what it would be the equivalent of, almost like a Hellion, but with a gun on it. No, not a Hellion, because a Hellion is more of a harassment unit. The blitzer is an actual viable late game unit for the Genetron. So tech-wise, I would say this is more like the Marauder. We have the Spitfire, which only shoots down, but it's the tier 1 unit for the Genetron. And then what comes after that are the blitzers. So really, I would say that they're like the Marauder equivalent, but they play way more differently than the Marauder. We have so many of these roamers roaming around, getting some really good scouting information, but missing these blitzers. He does see that there are fixers on the field as well. Now, the fixer is like a medic that can actually do DPS damage, and they shoot up and down. They are actually so good. And we also have the mole, which can siege up like a siege tank, or it can also turn into a sensor tower equivalent, which is what I expect is what we're going to be seeing right here. And yes, there it is, the sensor tower mode. So as you can see on the mini-map, we have our sensor for the Genetron player and the fixers. So the only thing that Quoror saw was the fixers. Man, Quoror, and using proper grammar for some reason messed with my brain. But this is a big army as well. Taking a look at the army supply, 55 army supply to 54, relatively even. Only now a 4 army supply lead for Cognite for a second, but now it's a 66 army supply for Quoror. Worker supply, though, 64 to 57 in favor of Cognite. And that is because probably he got his expansion out just a little bit sooner, and he's also going for... And we are back. I had to change my observer settings because I had it on my thumbnail mode, which does not show damaged units. So we are back. Just a quick little break, which I will edit out. But now we'll see the damaged units as they get attacked. And we also have the Virtus. The Virtus is a really cool unit. It can heal on the spot, but while it heals, it can't do damage. But this is a beast of a unit. It only shoots down just like the siege tank. But this is a really, really good variety of units. The Blitzers shoot up, we have the Fixers, and we have a couple Vertices as well, which will add some tremendous DPS to the Genetron army. At the same time, the 5th base attempt going down at the hands, or at the acid of these Xayidlings. And running back, taking a look at the resources lost. So that was basically the first engagement. 875 resources lost by Cognite and literally 0 by Quoror. So far, he's played a literally perfect game when it comes to efficiency. And I love the use of these feeding pools as well. They are spotted by the processor, but this will give some staying power to the Xayid army with that healing ability. Keep in mind, this will only be able to heal 6 of the Xayid units, and this is way more than 6 units, man. And we have this base, the 5th base, being replaced by our red Genetron player. It looks like Cognite going to engage this Xayid army. Taking a look at the army supply, almost identical. I'm really not sure who's going to win. I want to say the Genetron army is looking a lot scarier than the Xayid army, but these eroders may do some tremendous damage to those tanks. I'm not entirely sure if they will. And Quoror being really good at making sure he doesn't engage in a position that does not favor him. But just as I said it, he may be going for a little bit of an overextension, but great micro, great game sense, and great use of these roamers, keeping an eye on the red Genetron army. But Cognite is trying to do some damage. This hero Fixer in the front of the line immediately gets vaporized. And here we go at the 10-minute mark. We have a ridiculous engagement. We have the, what is this? From the Tesla, not the Insider. We have this orb right here, which will give some cloaking abilities around this radius for that orb that we saw on the map. I really don't know who's going to win, though. That Tesla was doing a great job, but these eroders are doing some serious damage. I think the red Genetron army will pull through, though. Army supply now at 73 to 53, so a 20 army supply lead for Cognite. Taking a look at the workers killed, or sorry, not the workers killed, the units killed. 47 workers killed by red and 32 by yellow, our Xayid player. So, taking a look at the resources lost, still relatively even. What I would do in this situation, even though at this point Quoror is macroing like a madman, is try and go for some sort of damage to one of the bases. If you win an engagement and you destroy the majority of, or not only the majority, but the entirety of your opponent's army, you can bet that you're probably ahead and you can do some sort of economic damage and put yourself even more ahead in the game. That's what I like to do when I play StarCraft, is go for counterattacks wherever I can. And these vertices, these numbers are increasing. We're now at 3 vertices. We do have the Torrent as well, which is an anti-air unit. And here's the Tesla that I was talking about. Oh, and we have what is going to be the new equivalent for the Genetron. Great reaction time by Quoror. So here we go. I believe that comes from the Olympus, but as you can see, this does more damage over time. So it's not like a nuke that does instant damage. It does damage over time, and you have to be way more careful with keeping your workers alive, with running away your workers from the mineral line, because if you do not do that, you will lose so many workers. And where is this Olympus? I gotta find it. I bet you it's in the main base. There it is. There's the Olympus. That is what caused that electricity ball of of damage at the, I want to say that was the 4th base location. Looks like the yellow army was spotted. The red army coming in to try and engage this, but Quoror, as usual, running away. And we have another attack from that Olympus. That is actually so annoying to deal with. This is going to cost a lot of actions for our yellow player, because he has to keep an eye on his mineral line as well as make sure his main army stays alive. And there we go. We have that cloak ability from the Tesla, that blue orb that we saw in the middle of that red army. And honestly, I think the red army's a lot scarier. Taking a look, we have 2-2 for the Xayid player, and it looks like 2-1 for the Genetron player. I almost said Terran player. This is not Terran. But great micro from Quoror, able to keep the majority of his army alive and actually bait Cognite into a situation that does not favor him. There we go. We have another one of those orbs falling down, cloaking the red army. And I don't think we have any detection for our yellow yellow Xayid player, Genetron player. The Genetron player is red, okay? He is red. He is not yellow. And on the back of this, we see what is going to be, I believe, a 5th base coming down. I think this was probably spotted by that processor, and we have what is this, a 6th or 7th base for our red Genetron player. And we have all this map vision for the Xayid player, as we can see with those orbs. But these Teslas, this is the first time I'm seeing the Teslas being used in such an efficient way. Great play by Cognite. And Cognite is a master level player. I don't recall if he's a grandmaster level player, but at the time that this replay loaded up, he is in Master League. So he is a very good player, and evidently so is Quoror. These guys are virtually neck and neck. Looking at the worker supply, almost identical, 72 workers to 73 army supply in favor of Cognite. 115 to, well, now it was 115 to 90, but in proper Zerg fashion, able to match the army supply in an instant. Great control by Quoror, great map vision, great game sense. But at the same time, there's an attack on that 5th base. It looks like Quoror is going to split his army to try and save this. We have the main bulk of the army, which will possibly engage this red Genetron army, and we have something that's slowing down the majority of these yellow units. So much of these eroders go down, but it looks like Quoror actually going for the surround, able to keep these Teslas at bay, and suddenly we have Cognite on the retreat, but these Teslas cloaking about half of the Genetron army. We do have that dropship. I can't remember what that is called for the Xayid, but able to give some detection. It does go down, unfortunately. But Cognite losing the majority of his army. We do have the Olympus trying to do something here, but I think it's too little too late. Taking a look at the army supply, 85 army supply to 69, now 71. And here it is. I believe it's, okay, I wanted to call it the Farian, but I wasn't sure. This is, or I wanted to call it the Carrion, but this is actually the Farian. So this is a dropship, and it's also a detector for the Xayid. So we'll see. The Farian is really important right now. We want to make sure that this thing stays alive. I mean, the Teslas are kind of all gone at this point, but I expect to see more, especially because Cognite really knows how to use those things. And we also have the Badger, which is kind of like a tier 3.5, or sorry, 2.5 unit for the Genetron. They're not as scary as carriers. And from what I was told by you, one of the most prolific players of the Custom Scion Races mod, is that Solstice, the creator of this mod, wanted to change things up, and he didn't want to create a unit that was like a capital ship necessarily for the Genetron. He wanted to make it a little bit different than what we typically see in StarCraft 2. So the Badger, it's not like a carrier, it's not necessarily as scary, but it's still a really good unit, and it has a shell ability, which makes it even more tanky. And they do a lot of damage against ground units. As we can see, those Gatling guns are just melting through those eroders. And we have another Tesla, sure enough. The Tesla looks so cool, man. Anyway, let's go back to this engagement. We have what is, it looks like an attempt at harassing some of the economy for the yellow Xayid player, but the army supply is basically identical, 100 to 96. Taking a look at the workers killed. 20 workers killed by red, so not too bad. 4 workers killed by yellow, and 145 units killed by red to 128 by yellow. Taking a look at the resources lost, 23,000 resources lost to just about 20,000 for yellow. So a slight deficit for our red Genetron player. But I feel like there's not a lot that shoots up. So this tech switch from Cognite is pretty good. We do have, I think, the spitters. Yes, the spitters, which do shoot up. But that's the shell ability I'm talking about. So as long as that's up, these things are going to be way more tanky. We also have the revilers, which are doing a ton of anti-air damage. And these badgers will ultimately go down, but at the loss of a lot of yellow units. And here we go. We have the Olympus once again trying to do something. That is costing. I feel like that's costing our Xayid player so much APM. We'll see if we get the cancel on this base. And it doesn't get canceled, so that's a free 400 minerals right there for Quoror. We have so much chaos all over the map, man. But I think this squad right here, I think this, yeah, this Xayid squad, that was a suicide squad. Unfortunately, they were not coming back home. They're like, this is our job, I guess. We're going for for the greater good for our species. Oh man, the Xayid, they look so sick. I think they look really cool. A little bit of a spoiler, not maybe a spoiler, but a teaser, is eventually the Xayid are going to take a more plant-like appearance, excuse me. So right now they look like the Zerg, but from what I've seen, they will eventually look like plants, which will be so sick. Something that's totally different from what we see in vanilla StarCraft 2. And it looks like the 5th base location in danger. This is a lot of workers. 22 workers on this mineral line. How many are going to go down? 43 workers total killed this game. And these poor scavengers hiding in the corner. At the same time, though, we have what are going to be the Xayidlings trying to save these workers, and I think they will, but the fixers of all units are doing some tremendous damage to these workers. Now we're at 56 workers killed for our red Genetron player. So that was a lot of workers killed, and now we have the Olympus once again. Quoror, you've been doing so good. You've been doing so good at keeping these workers alive. At the same time, though, this is costing a lot of mining time for our yellow Xayid player as well. So even though Cognite's not destroying all these scavengers, he's forcing the retreat on these workers, and that is costing some mining time on that 4th base location. We have what is also going to be a double expansion. 2 of these bases are being replaced. At this point in the game, though, we have 39 army supply to 58 in favor of Quoror, and Quoror, I think, has the sense that he may be doing a little bit better in terms of army supply after all those engagements, and he has to go for the attack because his worker supply is at a big deficit. 36 workers to 68 in favor of our red Genetron player. So at this point in the game, man, Quoror has to win. I think Quoror has to win. If he doesn't win soon, he'll just get out macroed at this point, because he's got virtually half the workers that his opponent has. He's got some ridiculously good unit control, though, so if he's able to keep his units alive, he may be able to do enough economic damage to put himself back in this game. He's running away. I feel like this might be the last stand. 38 army supply to 70. Worker supply 67 to 36. So Cognite is in the lead for both worker and army supply. And now I feel like I got myself confused, but maybe not. Was I looking at the wrong army supply when I said Quoror was ahead in army supply? I might have. In editing, I'll go ahead and take a look just to make sure. Because now I'm gaslighting myself. We have the Farian. We have a tiny little Xayid army. If things stay quiet, though, Quoror may be able to put himself back in this game. So that's one thing that Cognite should really consider at this point. I mean, we have the hindsight. We have the foresight of what is happening in this game, because we see everything. So it's possible Cognite does not realize what is happening. He may not realize how ahead he is, especially because Quoror still has a lot of expansions And here we go. Once again, the Olympus forcing the retreat on this base. That is so frustrating to deal with. And the Olympus is back home, so there's really nothing. There's really nothing Quoror can do about that unless he gets some flying units and snipes that structure. So that is one really annoying thing to deal with. And this is such a tiny army. Now we're at 102 army supply to 42 in favor of Cognite. And Cognite, I think, is going in for the kill. He's like, look, we've been playing this game too long. Let's end it. Let's finish it right now. Right here, right now, like men. The 5th/6th base, I think, going down for Quoror. This thing is not going to survive. There's no way. These Xayidlings trying to do something, but all they see is the impending doom of the rest of the Xayid economy. Oh no! And this base was doing so good. It survived so many Olympus shots. These workers were doing so good at staying alive, but unfortunately, it looks like the reign of the 4th base will finally be ended. The workers are still retreating. They're like, we didn't survive this long for nothing. We are going to retreat, and we have another Olympus shot actually in a really strategic location. This will prevent Quoror from reinforcing his army. As you can see, he has to back off. And there we go. The Olympus shot does finish, so now Quoror can move around on the map. Once again, we have, what are these fixers? Of course, we have fixers at that 4th base location, 4th/5th base. I'm not entirely sure, and we have what is probably the 4th base going down as well. Quoror throwing out the GG, giving the victory to Cognite. That game was actually insane. We were all over the place. What a fun one. If you guys enjoyed what you saw, please consider shooting me a like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you want me to cast any of your own games, I will leave my email and Discord in the description below. And I'll see you guys on the next one.